Great,
New
great.
signal maneuver. We're live!
Aha, that
We're
was a quick.
officially,
Here on with my water.
apparently live. And you sure it's not gin, Barbara?
Yes, yes, it is.
Definitely just water.
And not enough either. I clearly drank a lot of water already,
Well,
which is
that's
good.
good.
Mm.
You keep saying you need to drink more water.
Also been to the chiropractor today.
Oh, have you?
Part of my self-care.
Dash has just gone a little bit bananas. Hang on, I might need to just sort something out. He's just having a moment. Give him a second.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I can hear John coming in with
Explain.
Stevie, so that might also be a moment. So guys, I can't actually see who's here. So please, please, please pop us and hello and hi and where you tuning in from or how you feeling, anything while I try to find us on our YouTube.
Sorry about that.
Not a
So
problem.
what had happened there is Dash is in here with me, and we'd just been doing some free work. So I had a clothes area out with washing on. I know that people don't use that in the America and stuff, but anyway, had my clothes area out. Dash is a little bit nervous of the clothes area, and he wanted to go and sit on the sofa and couldn't because the clothes area was there. So I just had to go move it. And now he's not sitting on the blooming sofa, he's still hanging out with me because he's a dude. Is there anybody there? Carmela's there.
Camilla,
Hello.
great.
Super.
Great to see you. Okie dokes. We had a really good question, didn't we?
Yeah, let's get started with that from Andrea.
Yeah, let's do that first. So, do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
I can't actually find it at the moment, which
Okay,
is
let me
doing my
read it.
head in. So,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
So Andrea wrote, my Vishla is reactive to other dogs, but not when we're on holiday. Having just returned from Wales, it's really very obvious that his behavior changes when we are away. This isn't the first time we've noticed this, but most definitely the most obvious. I'm still on the lookout for other dogs, aware of my surroundings and looking for escape routes out of habit, but I don't think my behavior changes, but perhaps it does. Perhaps I'm more chill too, and it's passing down the lead. Or is it more to do with the fact that it's an unknown environment and he's more interested in that? Or he's too tired to care?
I love that.
That's really cool.
He's too tired to care. Um,
So before we dig into what's going on, I just wanted to do a huge, huge shout out to Andrea for, first of all, posting a question. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And there was already discussion in the group. A lot of people posted some responses and what they thought is going on. So this is great. That's really what we like to see, right? You guys sharing, asking questions, supporting each other. So great, 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 great. And then a huge shout out to Andrea again for all the good things here. You know, what you're saying, you're looking out for other dogs, you're aware of your surroundings, and out of habit, yay, looking
Yep.
for possible escape routes in case something happens. So this is really fabulous skills on your part. So I just wanted to say awesome to all of that. That's brilliant.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
And it's a really good question too, isn't it, Julia?
It's an excellent question. And I suspect that it's something that most of the people watching have seen a difference, whether it's better or worse or whatever, but a difference in their dog's behavior when they're not in their normal environment. So when they go away. And the question is, well, why does this happen? And especially when your dog is more chilled when you're away. And there are all sorts of different reasons, but the absolute main one is just because when you're away, you've changed the picture. The environment that you're in, the smells, the sounds, everything is different. Now, if you think about it at home and your dog's behavior at home, whether that's on walks or whether it's in the house or in the garden or whatever, that's all behavior that is being rehearsed over and over and over and over and over again because it's in the home. And your dog knows, right, I'm in this environment and this is how I behave here. And we've talked before how dogs aren't great at generalizing. They do, you change something, it's almost like, oh, everything's changed. And we have to take that into account in our training, for example. But it also can be taken into account when observing our dog's behavior. Because if you change that environment, your dog's like, right, I've got a clean slate now in terms of how I'm going to behave. And I always feel that if you're seeing behavior that's from your perspective improved, that means that the work that you've started to do is actually going really well. You're making some progress because when you've got a clean slate, what you're seeing is that real progress without the learned associations that you get at home. What do you think, Barbara?
Yeah, and I totally agree with all of it. And I'm sure yeah, you did, didn't you? I don't know. Anyway, a bunch of the other things are probably also playing in, right? Being
Yeah,
maybe more relaxed. But it can also be that we're more stressed because we feel we're in a different, more unpredictable environment or something. So that can go both ways. That's always in the picture. But I think mostly it's exactly what you say. You're
yeah,
changing the environment. If you change the environment, lots of things can change. And yeah, it's all about the associations.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And I've kind of been there myself, with Dash particularly actually, where you're like, and you start off and you go, hang on, he would have barked at that at home. And it's less so now than it used to be. The differences are quite small now, but certainly after we'd had him, say, 6 months or so, it's like you'd have barked at that at home. Why aren't you fussing when we're here? And then you really have to think through, actually, from his perspective, it's because he's got a totally new heap of learning, starting from that nice scratch, clean slate without the rehearsal. You don't
Yeah,
have the rehearsal and that
yeah,
history.
yeah. A lot of it is also habit, things that are attached. This is where I get excited because something happened here before. This is where I get wary, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then I think also totally applies that have any of you observed, well, if you have a noise reactive dog, like I have, or like Hattie, right? Certain stuff goes on outside, etc., etc. If you put a snuffle mat down or a licky mat or something, the same things that normally have them up barking or reacting to stuff, they can completely ignore because they're busy,
Yep.
with all their senses engaged in something else that's, that they enjoy, and then they don't need to react. So an
Mm.
unknown environment, of course, there's also a lot of, like you said already, a lot of new learning, a lot of information to process, and none of the same triggers. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea. Time for the dogs now. Because here's the other thing. We think in terms of this one big trigger thing, right? The black dog.
Yeah.
Dog doesn't like certain type of dog, whatever. But we all know it actually is more complex than that. That is just the one thing that we notice. But very often, the how our dogs react, the intensity of it, blah, 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 all of this has a lot to do with all the other things that are happening, isn't it? So
Exactly. Yeah.
whether there's triggers tracking in place, the context of it, and so on and so on. So, it's very, very different when we're in a different environment. If I change my route, where I walk, my dogs behave differently. All three of them behave
Absolutely.
differently.
Or if you change who's with you.
All that, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so
that's a
many
big one.
different
Yeah,
variables,
yeah,
aren't they? And it's a
yeah.
great illustration of what we talk about, that reactivity, it's not just about one thing, which
Mm,
tends to be the thing that we focused on. It
mm,
really shows you how much stuff there is really involved in
yeah,
it.
yeah. So we had a bunch of comments.
Woo-woo.
Sue said I also experienced this with Remy in South Africa and while in SA, Southern
South Australia.
Australia, yes. And
Yeah.
while traveling, he even made friends with a duck sound across the Nullarbor. He normally doesn't like them.
Yeah, exactly.
Duckle. And Nicole says, yes, I noticed Chopin is different on walks at my sister's neighborhood when I walk him with my niece and nephews, Cavalier Teddy. So here we have different neighborhood, different environment, and different company, right? So
Exactly. And I found when I first had her, one of the big keys to building her confidence on outside of the house was finding her a nice friend dog. So she had a wingman. And that built a lot of confidence for her. But that was just for her. Doesn't necessarily mean it'd be the same for every dog. But it sounds like Chopin's pretty similar. I think Chopin's quite similar to Hats in a lot of
they're
ways.
both very cute, that's for sure.
They are certainly both very cute. Yes, that's true.
Right. So now, shall we talk a little? If you guys have more questions, Andrea, if this didn't satisfy, then please let us know. Or if there's any follow-up. And guys, if there's anything you're curious about, anything that you want help with your dogs, anything in general, whatever, ask us questions, post questions in the group. It's nice to see the interaction, and we love it because then we know what you want us to talk about.
Exactly. It's really
Otherwise, we just throw stuff at you that we find interesting.
and we're
And
about to do that now.
exactly. So if you were if you were here last week, like most of you guys who are on now, then you know that we talked about something that's far too often left out when in discussions or talks or solutions, about reactivity and reactivity training. And that is you, me, us, the human part, right?
Yeah,
So we talked about that last week. And today we want to, because we didn't have enough time.
nowhere near.
So we want to go a little bit further and talk about some powerful shifts.
Exactly. Yeah. Some shifts things that are realistic, doable, and really specific for you guys with your reactive dog. So to start off with, in the chat, when we say self-care, what's the first word that comes into your mind? Do you know the first word that came into my mind then? Have you frozen, Barbara? Have you gone? Oh, I think we've lost Barbara. I don't know what's happened. I'll carry on. The first word that came into my mind was bath. Because for me, self-care is getting into a nice warm bath, preferably with a nice bath bomb or something yummy in it, and just chilling out. So what comes into your guys' heads when you hear self-care? Hopefully Barbara will be back before too long. You never know your luck. Chocolate, Carmela. Do you know what, Carmela? I have to be really careful not to think chocolate. Because what I do, and I don't know about you, is I'm feeling like I need some self care. And I'll go and eat chocolate or cake or whatever else, like something sugary. It's got to be something sugary and probably with loads of fat in it as well. And then I have a massive crash afterwards and end up feeling worse. So I really try hard. If you're the sort of person that can do things in moderation, it probably works quite well. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but yesterday Barbara messaged me. She was having a bit of a pants day. They had some issues in the house. And she was super stressed. And she said, I know I should go and do my chanting, but all I really want to do is sit on the sofa, watch telly and eat chocolate. And I said, well, eat the chocolate, then do the chanting. And I think for Barbara, that would work nicely. Anybody else got any things that they think of when they think self-care? Just checking if Barbara's in my other phone. She isn't at the moment. I wonder if her internet's gone down. Okay, well, just bob stuff in as and when you think about it. Okay, so now what we're really talking about, it doesn't need to mean a nice hot bath or a massage or meditation, or chocolate, although it can mean all of those things if you want it to. But for us, as people that have reactive dogs, it could be just not going on a stressful walk. Oh, we've got lots of good things. So we've got yoga and meditation, absolutely. Singing and dancing and reading, Nicole, yes. Another vote for chocolate. Do you know, another thing that I find is exercise. That kind of goes to the yoga, meditation, singing, dancing. Is that anything that you're doing that's quite mindful can be really useful, can't it? But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is being able to not go for that stressful walk. And for really prioritizing in the moment what's important. So, you might have 101 things that you need to do. Do they actually need to do all of them need to be done now? Maybe you could just prioritize the most important ones. And also having a priority for quiet moments just for you. So those are important as well. And we do forget about ourselves, don't we? Sue says, talk to somebody. Yeah, absolutely. I will Barbara and I often will reach out to each other if we're having a shitty day, because it just makes you feel better. I'm somebody that in the past has been guilty of keeping things very much inside and to myself. And I think that's something that I've had to really teach myself not to do. So now I will, chat to my husband about, everything about how I'm poor bloke, everything about how I'm feeling on the inside. But we walk through things together, and I've got a nice little core group of friends that are always there, which is great. So self-care is not about fixing everything. It's about supporting yourself so that when you do show up, you're pretty steady and you know how you feel. So let's walk through. We've got 5 self-care shifts that are going to be real game changers for you and are really relevant for people like you. So the first one is to shift from suppressing how you're feeling to noticing. And if you think about it, this is what we're doing with our dogs. We're shifting from suppressing the behavior to noticing the behavior and the feelings behind it. So we need to do that to us. So pay attention to how you're feeling. There's a tip where name it to tame it trick. So label that feeling. For example, I'm feeling overwhelmed. That's a biggie for me. I feel overwhelmed quite a lot of the time. And you'll feel instant relief just because you've acknowledged it and you said, yes, this is how I'm feeling, and this feeling is totally valid. If any of these really relate, you can really relate, just zap it in the chat again. So shift 2 is moving away from trying to control everything to capacity. So what that means is, rather than thinking, okay, I have to control everything, that is very me. I can be a little bit control freakery. So instead of doing that, just ask yourself, what capacity do I have today, and match your plans to that. And that doesn't mean, when I talk about capacity, I'm not talking about filling every moment that you have in the day. Say today I've said, right, I've got between 8 and 6 to do stuff. That doesn't mean I'm doing stuff and I should be doing stuff all throughout that whole time. It might be actually that I'm feeling quite overwhelmed and I know I need to just take a few minutes for me, or take an hour for me, or take 2 hours for me, or however long I need to do different things that are important to me. So yeah, do less and feel better doing it. Shift 3 is moving from go, go, go to pause and ground. So introducing micro pauses into your day. So instead of, just going straight for that walk that you're worried about with your dog, try a 30-second reset ritual before the work. And it's just a 30-second reset. It's not massive. So take a deep breath and have one grounding thought. Change your energy so you feel different. Then shift 4, shift your focus from fixing things to flowing. Not everything needs a solution right now. It's okay for some things to be a little bit in the air. So self-care sometimes might be sitting with that feeling of slight chaos. It might be for you that that's a really stressy thing to do, but the more we can sit with it and feel it and be happy with it, the easier we're going to be able to be on ourselves. And then shift 5, it's moving from self-blame to self-compassion. You're not failing. We say that to you guys all the time, and it is 100% true. You're learning, and your dog doesn't need perfection. What they need is presence. And if you can shift from that, again, we're taking the stress away from you. I've talked to you about the sort of ACE free work stuff that I've been working on, which is absolutely lovely. But one of the beautiful things about it is the principle of no attachment to outcome. So when I'm doing it, it doesn't matter what my dogs do. You know, I might have had in my mind, oh, I want them to do X, Y, and Z. They cannot do any of those things, and it's still been a really, really successful free work session. So yeah, so do any of those shifts really hit home for you? Is there one you've already started working on? I'm hoping everyone can still see me because I'm not had anything in the chat. So do let me know if you're there. So is there a shift that you're seeing? Or something that you think you would like to work on more? Just bob it in the chat and we will, it's just really useful to know, you know, what's hit home for you and what you think you can work on further. Just having a quick check. I think I'm okay. Super duper. Yeah, I'm still not getting anything coming up for reasons. Don't know. Something weird's going on. Never mind. I'll just carry on regardless. So let's try something together. We're just going to do a 60-second reset of your nervous system. You can use it anytime. We're going to use, some of you might have done it before. We're going to use 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yay, I've got comments. So Carmela said, I struggle to just be, but then wonder why my dogs can't. I need to just be. Do you know what, Carmela? Sometimes it feels really uncomfortable, doesn't it? Just being. And sometimes we have to sit with that slight discomfort to kind of get through it and to be able to do it, because I 100% hear you. Anne says, if I smile before I do a thing, that resets my attitude. And that's quite a grounding thing to do, isn't it? Just smiling. And they've done those studies, haven't they? That if the physical act of smiling makes you feel better. Audrey loves the thinking about your capacity. I never think about myself like that. Yeah, I'm like that. And then if I have a day where I sit down and do nothing and, you know, watch telly or go for a walk without the dogs or something, I feel really guilty about it, but it's ridiculous because I'm just addressing what my capacity was able to do that particular day. Right, so let's do a quick 30-second reset. So I want you to, just where you're sitting, whatever you're doing at the moment, try and find 5 things you can see, 4 sounds you can hear. Some of these are easier than others, but it really gets you thinking in the moment. 3 things you can touch or you are touching, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So let's all just sit quietly for a few seconds and just quickly do a reset. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you what I got. So with the seeing things, it can be seeing. I find can be quite overwhelming because the world's so busy with stuff. So I just let myself relax. And what am I drawn to? So at the moment, I'm drawn to a light switch over there. I was also drawn to a couple of cups that I put treats in for the dogs that are on a window ledge, my webcam, a bag of treats on top of my desk over there, and my microphone. Those were just the things that I could relax and notice. Then the things I could hear, I can hear in my laptop the fan whirring around. It's not very loud, but I could hear it. I could also hear Hattie having a little bit of a grumble in the next room. I can hear Dashi snoring. I can hear the wind outside. Those of us in the UK, I don't know if anyone else is having a lovely windy day. Was that 4? Yes, I think that was 4. Good. Touch, I just focused on the things that I was already touching. So I could feel my chair under my bum. I can feel my feet inside my slippers where it's all nice and woolly. And I can feel where my hands were resting on my trousers. So there's like a fabric under there. And then the last two I always find really blooming difficult, particularly smell, because we get very acclimatized to the smell where we are. However, I can still smell wet dog if I put my mind to it. It doesn't have to be something amazing. I could have got up, gone into the other room. I've got some sweet peas on the table from the garden. I could have gone and smelled those. That would have been way more pleasant. And I can also smell the treats that I talked about before. And then the taste, I just had a sip of my glass of water and really concentrated on how it tastes. Because even though we think of water not really tasting of anything, when you concentrate on it, it actually does. And it just gets you very much in that moment. It's that mindfulness, isn't it? It's like your yoga and meditation, Audrey. It's that whole thing of getting you in that actual moment and getting your senses all focused on what you're doing. So I hope that was helpful, but I haven't finished yet, you lucky things. So if you like all this stuff, we've mentioned it before, but it's going to open next week, and that's the Inner Compass course, which is our self-care module that we've created just for you. And it's very much not about fixing your dog. It's about you feeling stronger, steadier, and more like yourself again. Tools, strategy, support, real life, reactive dog, the works. And when I talk about it, what comes to mind for me is the client, I think I mentioned her before, with the boxer that's got the inflammatory bowel disease, super duper reactive. And she was just amazed by the difference that her reaction and how she felt in herself made to Lola and her reactivity. She was absolutely blown away by that. So it's so super duper worth it. But we're launching that next week. I'm not exactly sure when exactly, but shouldn't be too long. Yeah. And then that is it for today. I hope Barbara's okay. It's more than likely sometimes her internet just randomly disappears because she hasn't sent me a message saying I randomly disappeared. I'm back. So I suspect her entire internet is down. Yeah, she sent me a little WhatsApp. I will see you guys all next week. Which will be great. I shall look forward to that. And we'll be talking about something else fabulous. So I will see you guys all then, and have a wonderful week. Do put questions in the chat if you have any. Oh, Carmela, I'm so glad you found it cathartic. Yeah, I find just even talking about self-care and relaxation super relaxing. I really do. But do you know the other thing? It's just popped into my head because that I find with self-care, if you have those internal monologues where you know what's going to make you feel better, but you still have an internal monologue trying to talk yourself out of it. Like, for example, when I do my exercises in the morning, I know it makes me feel better, 100 times better, but I still have the, oh, can I not just have half an hour in bed? When I know that's going to make me feel rubbish for the whole rest of the day. It's flipping ridiculous. Anyway, have a fabulous week, and I am so glad that we have reset you. If you need any more resetting in the week, just drop us a note. Take care, look after yourselves, and we'll see you then.